Thanksgiving was always loud in ways that had nothing to do with voices. Chairs scraping across the floor. Cutlery shifting against plates. The low, constant movement of people navigating around each other's habits. My family had perfected a kind of functional noise, busy, warm, slightly exhausting. I arrived carrying a pie I hadn't wanted to bake. Not out of resentment. Just fatigue. For years my role had been simple and mostly invisible. Transfers made between meetings. Bills covered without discussion. Emergencies absorbed before they could mature into crises. It had never felt like generosity, more like maintenance. Families, like houses, require upkeep. The kitchen smelled of butter and something slightly burned. My mother stood at the counter, orchestrating dishes with the same brisk efficiency she applied to everything else. "You're late." "I'm right on time." She glanced at the pie. "Well, at least you brought something." It was said lightly. A line that could pass as humor. In our family, tone often carried more meaning than words. Dinner unfolded along familiar lines. My uncle complaining about work. My cousin narrating a story no one fully followed. My father refilling glasses with automatic precision. I listened, nodded, smiled when appropriate. The remark came somewhere between the turkey and dessert. Casual. Effortless. My mother gestured vaguely with her fork while discussing household expenses. "And honestly, I don't understand why you act like helping us is some grand favor." The table quieted, though only slightly. It's what family does. No accusation, no raised voice. Just a sentence built from assumption. Something about it settled strangely in my chest. Not sharp enough to feel like anger, not soft enough to dismiss. I waited for clarification, for the familiar cushioning of, "You know what I mean." It didn't come. My father cleared his throat. My uncle reached for more stuffing. Conversation resumed, sliding carefully around the small rupture. I did not respond. There are moments when silence feels less like avoidance and more like recognition. Something aligning internally without needing performance. After dinner, I helped with dishes. My mother moved beside me, rinsing plates. "You're awfully quiet." "Just tired." She nodded, satisfied with the explanation. I left early. Not dramatically. Just with the same polite hugs and routine goodbyes. The withdrawal began without ceremony. No declarations. No speeches about boundaries. I delayed a payment. Then another. Emails drafted and deleted. Messages left unanswered a little longer than usual. Not cruelty, simply absence where presence had been automatic. At first, nothing happened. Which was the point? Dependency, once normalized, resists immediate disruption. My family interpreted the silence with remarkable creativity. "You okay?" "Busy week. Forgot again." I replied vaguely when necessary. "Work's hectic, traveling soon, we'll check." Late notices arrived, though not for me. Stress migrated quietly through the household. I heard it indirectly, tension threaded into conversations, irritation surfacing in unexpected places. Still, no one asked directly. Because no one truly believed I would stop. The internal conflict surprised me. Not guilt exactly. Something more layered. A persistent unease built from years of conditioning. Responsibility, once adopted, has a way of masquerading as identity. Who was I if not the stabilizer? Weeks passed, then the call. My phone buzzed mid-afternoon. My father's name on the screen. I let it ring once, twice, answered. His voice carried an unfamiliar tightness. "There's a situation with the mortgage." Not a request yet, just information presented cautiously, as if facts themselves required negotiation. "I see. They're talking about deadlines. Penalties." A pause. "We thought maybe you could." There it was. But softer now. Stripped of assumption. In the background, I could hear movement, the indistinct sounds of tension contained within walls. I leaned back in my chair. For weeks, I had rehearsed variations of this conversation. Not clever retorts or dramatic refusals. Just clarity. "I can't fix this." Silence. Not defensive, not angry, stunned in the quietest way. My father exhaled slowly. "Can't." "I won't." The distinction felt important. Another pause, heavier. "Your mother didn't mean." This isn't about one comment. Which was true. Boundaries rarely emerge from singular incidents. They grow from accumulation, small imbalances tolerated until tolerance itself becomes unsustainable. "We're family," he said finally. "I know. And I did. But knowledge, I was learning, does not obligate repetition. I hope you find a solution." The words sounded colder aloud than they had in my head. Yet not cruel. Simply final. The conversation ended without resolution. Days later, my mother called. Her voice carried irritation threaded with something closer to disbelief. "So you're just walking away?" "I'm stepping back." "You're punishing us." "No." I hesitated. "I'm stopping. There are truths that feel impolite regardless of accuracy." She did not reply immediately. When she spoke again, her tone had shifted, not softened, but altered. Certainty giving way to something less stable. "This isn't how I imagined things would be." I almost laughed. Because it wasn't how I had imagined them either. After the calls, the house grew quieter in my mind. Distance has a sound. Updates reached me indirectly. Refinancing attempts, budget adjustments, conversations with advisors whose names I did not recognize. They did not lose the house. Which complicated the emotional arithmetic. Relief mingled with something less comfortable, the recognition that my withdrawal had not caused collapse, only recalibration. Months later, Christmas arrived. I attended. The gathering felt different, not hostile, but rearranged. My mother hugged me with familiar warmth edged by unfamiliar caution. My father spoke carefully, as though navigating a space whose boundaries he could not fully see. No one mentioned money. Not once. The silence this time felt mutual, earned, unsteady. I watched my family move through the evening's rituals, laughter returning, though slightly thinner, like fabric stretched too many times. Nothing had been resolved. Not entirely, but something had shifted, not power, not victory. Just the quieter, more complicated dignity of no longer being indispensable. And the equally complicated grief of discovering what that truly meant.